It is 5 p.m. and welcome to our County Council meeting of Monday, February 13th, 2023. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Tabernick,
Present.
Councilmember Reeds,
Present.
Councilmember Lawson,
Mark Lawson, virtual.
Councilmember Howard,
Here.
Councilmember Glover,
Here.
Councilmember Dawson,
Here.
Councilmember Cunningham, Councilmember Brown,
Here.
Councilmember Bartholomew,
Here.
Vice Chairman McGillen,
Here.
Chairman Passament.
I am here.
You have a quorum.
Councilmember Cunningham may try and come online. He is currently on a business trip. He indicates that his desire was to be here, but his responsibilities out of state may keep him from the meeting this evening. Would you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then please remain standing for the invocation?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, first we stop to thank you for the many blessings you bestow on us every day. Thank you for life itself, for health, for sustenance, for love, for Valentine's Day, and for friendships. Thank you for the freedoms we enjoy, and may we never forget those who gave their lives to guarantee these freedoms for us. Thank you for putting us on a path to be involved in meaningful, useful work, and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities for our community. Thank you for all of our staff members, our first responders, hospital staff, and all those who work to make Beaufort County a great place to call home. We stand before you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this County Council meeting. May your grace shine on us during this meeting and all future meetings so that we may seek a mindset of inclusivity. May this room be a safe place for people to express their opinions and a place where ideas matter more than titles. Help us as leaders to listen respectfully and patiently when it's time to hear others, and help us to engage in meaningful discussions that seek viable solutions to current issues. May each member of this council recognize the skill set and knowledge of the others so that we all feel valued and free to represent our constituents. Allow us to grow closer as a council as we strive to nurture the bonds of this community. Above all, Lord, always remind us that we are servants with a responsibility to seek the common good for all. We ask your blessing on those of us called to lead this county in which we live, work, and play. Amen.
Amen. Public notice of this meeting has been published, posted, and distributed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. I would like a member of council to offer a motion and second for approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Mr. McKellen.
Second.
Mr. Dawson. Duly motioned and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, the agenda will be approved without objection. Next is the approval of minutes of both January 9th and 23rd, 2023. A motion and second, please.
So moved.
Mr. McKellen makes the motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Tabernick makes the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Any questions, concerns, comments on the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. We turn to our administrator, Mr. Greenway, for his monthly report. Thank you, Mr. Greenway.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, council. Good evening to everyone who is here in attendance with us or watching us on the county channel or through our YouTube feed. Tonight, I'm just going to introduce a couple of new employees that we have, just so you are aware of who the folks are and a little bit about their background. And then I have one employee that I'm going to introduce from our Department of Disabilities and Special Needs. So I'm going to ask John Robinson if he'll come up now. It's my great pleasure and honor to introduce to you all Mr. John Robinson, who is the replacement for Phil Foote as the Assistant County Administrator of Public Safety. As a part of that, he will be overseeing the emergency management systems, EMS, the detention center, animal services and control, and mosquito control. John was recently the Deputy Chief of Administration for the City of Beaufort, Town of Port Royal Fire Department, wherein he devoted over 23 years of service. While there, he did a lot of things for the Beaufort, Town of Port Royal. Most notable was setting up the fire impact fee for the City of Beaufort and Town of Port Royal Fire Department. He has a rich and diverse professional background, including serving in the U.S. Navy as a submarine sonar technician and managing a team of maintenance technicians and equipment operators at Intel Semiconductor. That sounds like a big deal. I bet so. He has also held various positions in the City of Beaufort, including emergency manager, procurement agent, and of course, the Deputy Chief of Administration for the fire department. We are fortunate to have John. We had a team of interviewees who interviewed all the qualified applicants that we had. Some of those were internal. Everyone did a great job, but we ultimately decided to offer the job to John, and he accepted. So if you guys have any EMS, detention center, animal services, or mosquito control questions, feel free to reach out to him or me. Either way. You want to say anything?
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Greenway, for allowing me to be part of the Beaufort County team. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Next is Mr. Brian Holbert. He's the Deputy County Attorney. He replaced Brittany Ward when we promoted her to County Attorney for Administration and Department Heads. Mr. Holbert serves as the Deputy County Attorney, of course, with the Legal Department. He attended the University of Toledo for undergraduate and law school. He received a Master of Law from the Judge Advocate General School of the Army at the University of Virginia. And are you a Virginia fan in basketball? Are you a college basketball fan?
Clemson.
Oh, okay, all right, that's good, because I'm a Duke basketball fan, and Virginia's really been owning Duke the last few years in basketball, so, you know. He served in the U.S. Marine Corps as a judge advocate for 21 years, finishing up his career in Beaufort as the SJA to the Marine Corps Air Station. He also worked as staff attorney for the town of Hilton Head Island for 15 years until retiring 3 years ago. Brian is married to Catherine Holbert and has 4 grown children and 3 granddaughters. So let's welcome him and then.
Glad to be back at work and out of retirement. I mean, retirement for young people is not good, I'll tell you what. But I look forward to working with each and every one of you, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you, sir.
Fortunate to have him. Janice, come on up.
Nice guy.
This is Janice Beach. She is with our Disabilities and Special Needs Department. She's an administrative manager there, which means that, she's been with us 17 years. Means that she performs HR duties for the DSN department, monitors staff training to remain compliant with SCDDSN guidelines, does the time sheets. That's a big job every 2 weeks. It takes a lot of time to get those things right. Coordinates recertifications of staff training, makes travel arrangements for staff attending conferences and training, processes workers' compensation and vehicle accident forms, attends and records advisory board minutes, and so much more. So What it says about the uniqueness of Janice is that you can always know that she is behind the scenes helping to make things run smoothly. You're not an out front person, are you? You're uncomfortable being here with me tonight. Okay. I thought you might be. When I read that, I was like, she's not gonna like this. So, she is a person of quiet strength who knows what it takes to make things work. She does not expect a lot, but is always ready to give a lot. The DSN staff has total confidence in her support and ability to find the right answers. Janice is DSN's hallmark. Wow. I'm proud to have had the chance to do that for you. Being called someone's hallmark is a big honor. So, apparently, I can tell the DSM folks think highly of you and appreciate your service. You want to say anything? No, you don't.
She's
Excellent.
Thank you.
Next is a proclamation recognizing February 19th through the 25th as the Childhood Cancer Awareness Week. And Councilmember Tabernick will read that proclamation on behalf of an individual who is online, I believe.
Yes. So normally we present it and then we take pretty pictures, but Amy Firestein is online and will be accepting this remotely on behalf of the Kids Cancer Connection. The proclamation says, whereas the American Cancer Fund for Children Incorporated and Kids Cancer Connection report that cancer is the leading cause of death by disease among children in the United States between infancy and age 15. And whereas this tragic disease is detected in more than 16,000 of our country's young people each and every year, with 1 in 5 children losing his or her battle with cancer. And whereas many infants, children, and teens will suffer from long-term effects of comprehensive treatment, and an estimated 400,000 children and adolescents are diagnosed with cancer globally every year. And whereas the American Cancer Fund for Children and the Kids Cancer Connection provide a variety of vital patient psychosocial services to children undergoing cancer treatment, thereby enhancing their quality of life and for their families. And whereas the American Cancer Fund for Children and Kids Cancer Connection also sponsor toy distributions, pet-assisted therapy, family sailing programs, KCC Supercar Experience, Laughter Noon, where laughter is healing, that's a great one, positive appearance programs, educational programs, and hospital celebrations in honor of a child's determination and bravery to fight the battle against childhood cancer. Now therefore be it resolved, the Beaufort County Council declares the week of February 19th through the 25th as Childhood Cancer Awareness Week, dated this 13th day of February 2023 by Joseph Passament, Chairman of our County Council. And Amy, would you like to say a few words? You can see your...
I would. Thank you so much. I'd first like to thank Beaufort County, Chairman Passament, Vice Chairman McGillen, and council members for supporting Childhood Cancer Awareness Week. Children with cancer need a lot of support via their family, medically, and from the community. And raising awareness about childhood cancer is a large part of this, and that's what we're doing here today. These children are brave, strong, and determined, as are their families and loved ones, and they have to be the face of this battle. Through our work at Kids Cancer Connection, American Cancer Fund for Children, and in association with the support of government, we're able to further assist these amazing children and their families. So again, thank you so much for honoring these children and offering your support in the battle against childhood cancer. We can only hope that one day we will no longer need to issue this type of proclamation. So again, thank you so much for having me and for your support.
And thank you for the work you do for children.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we will send this to Amy. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, we are at our first citizen comment section. This is designed for anyone who wishes to address County Council on items that are on our agenda. But I do not see anyone in the room who wishes to do that at this point in time. Is that not correct? That's correct. Okay. Then we are going to move on to our liaison and committee reports. Is there any member of council wishes to make a report?
Alice can go first.
Ms. Howard?
Yes, sir. Town of Port Royal met last Thursday. They have a new tree ordinance that they postponed passing, but they had a workshop on it, and it will be stricter and more enforceable, quite a bit like some of what we do. So we're all getting more and more emphasis on protecting our trees.
Excellent. Anyone else?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So I attended this school board meeting, which is near and dear to my heart. So they did several things. I thought there was a great presentation by the Citizen-Led Oversight Committee. They track expenditures and progress on projects for the school district. It was a great presentation, and I commend that for them for doing that. Then they did a textbook adoption, which school districts always do. You probably read in the paper, they set their new calendar for 23, 24. There were 3 presented and lots of conversation, and they picked one. And then they reviewed the appropriateness of the next 9 books on the 97 list. So they had recommendations, and those 9 books were returned to the shelves. They're doing a little bit each time. So that was the school board.
Thank you. Anybody else? I do have a couple of items. Number one, for those seeing us in the audience that weren't here a couple days ago when we did the budget workshop, or those who are watching us online who were not part of that, we did a lot of great things that day. It was one of the more outstanding budget workshops since I've been a council member. One of the things that we needed to do was to ensure that we all understand what we did over those 2 days. So what I have done is I've compiled a 1-page synopsis called the Budget Workshop Priorities, Goals, and Budget Recommendations. I've asked administration to look that over. I've asked our vice chair to look that over to ensure that what I thought I said was correct. We've made a couple tweaks. I'm going to correct those this evening. That will go out to you, each and every one of you, because now, since we are establishing the budgetary process, many of you will be asked to speak. And what you want to do is you want to speak with authority and understanding of exactly what county council has said. This is what we're going to do this year. This is year 1 of a multi-year plan, so that you have something in front of you to go by. So we're going to do that. Second, we're finalizing all of the liaison and board positions. I've been talking to the various groups, one of which is coming up. On February 23rd is the Low Country Council of Government. That's a very important one that we're part of. We actually have 5 seats on that council. Now, we need to appoint people, and I've talked to some people who said, yeah, I would like to do that, but it is open to all of us. I certainly intend to attend. I have all of the dates that we'll send out to you. The first one being February 23rd. It starts at 6:30. It's on Campground Road in Yemassee. And you should attend that because it's a very important council that we are a part of. Now, I can't attend on the 23rd because that's the SCAC conference. But if you're not going to go to that conference and can attend this meeting, that would be beneficial. Okay? And that's it. So we're now ready to begin the public hearing and action items. I would ask a member of council for the approval of the consent agenda.
I make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Ms. Howard.
I'll second.
Mr. Bartholomew. Duly motioned and seconded for the consent agenda. Any questions, concerns? Seeing none, the consent agenda will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item number 11 is time-sensitive, originating from the Community Services and Land Use Committee. It's a recommend approval of an award for the William Hilton Parkway 278 Corridor Independent Review to a company, CBC, in the amount of $197,813. A motion and a second, please.
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Tabernick. Second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Duly motioned and seconded. Any questions?
I need to make one thing clear for the record. This is less than $200,000, so it does not technically require council approval. The reason it is before you all is because of the significance of the request and the fact that we have an existing memorandum of agreement with the town of Hilton Head Island. We thought it would be most appropriate if the full council had an opportunity to weigh in and vote on this particular item.
So it's been duly motioned and seconded. Are there any questions, concerns? Seeing none, this will be, yes, sir?
I'm going to support it with reservation. Just want to note that.
Okay. This will be approved without objection, but a reservation. Seeing no objections, the item is approved. Item number 12 is a time-sensitive item that came out of the Community Services and Land Use Committee. It's a first reading of an ordinance amending the Beaufort County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 38, Article 7, Section 38-194, the Green Space Advisory Committee membership terms, organization to further define the Beaufort County Green Space Program, Advisory Committee membership terms, term limits, minimum requirements, procedures, and geographical presentation. This was discussed in the committee meeting before here. We acknowledged what we had to do. It's coming forward so that we can keep on track, on time, to have this done, so that once the money starts rolling in, we can start spending the money.
I'll make
So-
the motion.
Ms. Howard makes the motion. A second.
I'll second.
Mr. Glover makes the second. Duly motioned and seconded. I see no questions or concerns, so this will be, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
We did decide which one. We're
Yes.
actually going to go with B.
Okay, that was my
Okay.
question. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. This will be approved without objection, and I see no objections. We're at a public hearing. Item number 13, public hearing and second reading of an ordinance to amend the Southern Low Country Design Manual to meet the minimum separate storm sewer system, known as MS4, permit requirements. A motion and second, please.
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Howard.
Second.
Mr. McKellen. Duly motioned and seconded. Is there any member in the audience who wishes to make a comment during public hearing regarding this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Any concerns by any council member before we approve this? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item 14 is a public hearing and second reading of an ordinance for a text amendment to the Community Development Code, Section 5.11.90D, penalty for clear cutting prior to development, to increase the penalties for clear cutting property and provide guidance on acceptable forestry practices. A motion, please.
I'll make the motion, Mr.
Ms. Howard makes the motion.
I'll second that.
Mr. Reitz makes the second. Duly motioned and second. Is there any member of the public wishes to make a comment during the public hearing portion regarding this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing portion. Any member of council need to make a statement or question? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and I see no objections. Item 15 is a public hearing and second reading of an ordinance for a text amendment to the Community Development Code, Appendix C.2, Robert Smalls Parkway, South Carolina 170, to update the access management standards. Motion, please.
So moved.
Yes, and we're going to go once we make the motion. Mr. Dawson made the motion. A second, please.
I'll second it.
Ms. Tabernick makes the second. Now we'll go to the public. Is there any member of the public who would like to weigh in on this one? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any questions from council members? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item 16 is a public hearing and second reading of an ordinance authorized and providing issuance and sale of limited general obligation bonds by the Bluffton Township Fire District Series 2023A or such other appropriate series designation of Beaufort County, South Carolina, in the principal amount not to exceed $4,250,000, fixing the form and details of the bond, authorizing the community administrator or his lawfully authorized designee to determine certain matters relating to the bonds, providing for the payment of the bonds and disposition of the proceeds thereof, and other matters relating thereto.
So moved.
Mr. McCellum makes the motion.
I'll second that.
Ms. Brown makes the second. Is there any member of the public wishes to make a statement regarding this? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Any questions from council? It took me longer to read the statement than it is going to be to approve
Yes.
it. Seeing no objection, this is approved. Item 17 is a public hearing and third reading of an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of county-owned real property located at 108 Clearwater Way to the South Carolina Department of Transportation for a dedicated right turn lane on Grover Hill Road.
I so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Howard makes the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Glover makes the second. Any member of the public wish to weigh in on this during public hearing time? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments from council members? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item 18 is a public hearing and third reading of an ordinance authorizing the county administrator to execute the necessary documents to provide funding for the purchase of real property identified as 2 Mullet Street and enter into a 6-month lease agreement for a portion of the real property. Motion and second, please.
So moved, sir.
Mr. McCellum makes the motion.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Mr. Bartholomew makes the second. Duly motioned and second. Any member of the public wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, any member of council? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item number 19 is a public hearing and resolution authorizing the county administrator to execute the necessary documents to accept the conveyance of real property identified as a portion of TMS number R600-020-0071440 and R600-028-0003945 40 from Sun City Hilton Head Community Association.
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Tabernick makes the motion. A second, please.
Second.
Mr. Reeds makes the second, duly motioned and seconded. Any member of the public wish to make a comment on this particular item during public hearing time? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any questions from council? Seeing none, this will be adopted without objection, and there are no objections. Item 20 is the first reading of an ordinance for a text amendment to the Beaufort County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 82, Impact Fees, Article 1 in general, Article 2, Development Impact Fee Procedures, Article 3, Parks and Recreation Facilities, Article 4, Road Facilities, Southern Beaufort County Service Area, Article 5, Library Facilities, Article 6, Fire Facilities, Article 7, Road Facilities, Northern Beaufort County. Motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Tabernack makes the
second
motion. Ms. Brown makes the second, duly motioned and seconded. Is there any discussion on this?
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
I would
ma'am.
just like to say I'm very excited the impact fees are moving along and all the intergovernmental agreements are in place. This is very important
Yes.
to help with our infrastructure.
How quickly 10 years flies by.
Yeah.
Are there any other comments? Seeing no other comments, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item 21 is a first reading of an ordinance authorizing the county administrator to execute the necessary documents to accept a grant of perpetual easement for public use and access at the Sands Boat Landing from the town of Port Royal.
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Howard makes the motion. A second.
I'll second that.
Mr. McKellen makes the second, duly motioned and seconded. Any comments from county council regarding this matter?
I'd just like to say this is a wonderful example of cooperation between two governments. local
Absolutely.
governments. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Any other comments? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item 22 is approval of a resolution to commission Animal Service Officer to enforce animal ordinances, David Duffy. Motion, please.
So moved, sir.
Mr. McKellen,
Second.
Mr. Glover, duly motioned and seconded for the approval of Mr. Duffy. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. We are at our second citizens' comment, and there is one person who would like to address county council. Robert New. Good evening, Mr. New.
Good evening. Members of council, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, good evening. I know it's been a long week. I know you had your budget markups. I'll try to be short, and I do appreciate everything you do. I know it's not easy. Some questions about Pine Island and the term amendment. And first question, who are the mystery developers? Why are the names being withheld? It's been very secretive, been in negotiations for a year. Two, why was the county in discussions and/or negotiations with the developer behind closed doors when it was abundantly clear that the absolute critical aspects of their proposal, the 18-hole golf course and the gated entryway, were non-starters under existing ordinance? Interesting, the county did what was required at first. The developers asked for a carve-out to the CPO. They knew they could not get approval given the existing CPO. That is why, if they sue, they will lose, and they know it. In December, Beaufort County stated as follows: the county realized that if an exception to the CPO was made for Tropiano, it would open the door for other developers, and thus Beaufort County officials refused to entertain a discussion on the matter. Great. Now it gets interesting. A few days later, a text amendment suddenly appears that allows this developer and all developers to circumvent the CPO if they have 50 acres of highland. There are a lot of 50-acre parcels in St. Helena. They could now come under development agreements, always the developer's best friend, especially with compliance staff. Question: who proposed, drafted, and authorized this amendment? What parties were consulted concerning this amendment? Who had prior knowledge of the language prior to the posting of the Planning Commission agenda? And of course, the biggest question of all, why open the floodgates to development on St. Helena? Why? At the January 5th Planning Commission, the county officials did an about-face, just days after denying the developer's requested carve-out. An amazing coincidence. They argued they feared a developer would sue and the county would lose. Who would ever imagine a developer threatening to sue when they didn't get their way? That never happens. A real shock. This was a joke. Everybody who has looked at the CPO from the governor's office down to numerous distinguished seasoned attorneys who have actually litigated such cases in the courts believe the existing language is a slam dunk to survive a court challenge. As Councilmember Glover has stated, it is time to put some meat on the bone to strengthen the ordinance. Can I go? To strengthen the ordinance. But the existing language, in effect for more than 22 years, works pretty well. After a unanimous decision by the Planning Commission to deny the staff amendment, why did this amendment, just days later, reappear on the agenda of the Community Services and Land Use Committee? I do commend Chairwoman Howard and the committee for deferring this matter to the CPO committee. By the way, the CPO committee has been refused independent legal counsel by the county. Finishing up. The good people of St. Helena have been betrayed, The hope was that the old days of Beaufort County Council backroom deals was over. This was totally unnecessary, a self-inflicted wound that destroyed the trust, and not just on St. Helena Island. The world's changing before our eyes. People want from their elected officials transparency and open government. Your role is oversight. It is badly needed right now. Let the sun shine in. Invariably, the sordid details will come out in future depositions. But I urge this council to get ahead of this problem. It is in everyone's interest. Please, protect the culture, protect the history, protect the land, protect St. Helena. Thank you.
Can you leave that with the clerk so
Of
that
course.
if we want to, council members can see exactly what you said?
I will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Seeing none, is there any other business that should come before council? Seeing none, this meeting is now adjourned.
Wow.